Total Sports Zone. All sports, all action, one zone.
In professional sports, you've got thousands of athletes, hundreds of teams, all chasing one single thing, a championship. But what happens when all the hopes of a city, a franchise, millions of fans just come crashing down in a single moment? Well, today, we're going to dig into that immense pressure. We're going to focus on one team, one game, and the one player who took the weight of a devastating loss entirely on his own shoulders. All right, let's get into it. First, we're going to pull way back and look at the massive scale of pro sports. Then, we'll funnel right down into the pressure cooker that is the NFL. From there, we'll relive one single heartbreaking overtime game, hear a quarterback's raw emotional confession, and then we'll unpack all the tough questions that come after a season ends in defeat. You know, to really understand the pressure of one single game, you first have to grasp just how enormous the universe is that these athletes are competing in. Every single year, it is an absolute battle royal. I mean, just think about the NBA. 30 teams. They all start the season with championship dreams. That's hundreds of players dedicating their entire lives to one goal. But only one team gets to raise that trophy. For the other 29, the season just ends with what if. And it is not just basketball, not by a long shot. We see the exact same grueling climb in Major League Baseball. 30 more teams, each one grinding through a 162-game marathon, all for a shot at the World Series. The odds are just brutal right from the jump. Same story in the NHL, right? You've got 32 franchises all chasing the legendary Stanley Cup. So across just these three leagues, we're talking about nearly 100 teams starting a season, and 97 of them are going to end it in disappointment. That is the colossal scale of competition we're talking about, and it's the backdrop for the pressure we're about to explore. Okay, so let's take that giant universe and funnel it down to the NFL, which, let's be honest, operates as its own special kind of pressure cooker. You've got 32 teams starting the season, and every single one has the same goal: hoist that Lombardi trophy. From the AFC to the NFC, every franchise invests millions of dollars and just countless hours into becoming that one team left standing. But even inside the NFL, that fight gets even more focused. Let's zoom in on one of the toughest divisions in football, the AFC East. And within that division, we're going to lock in on our subject for this explainer, the Buffalo Bills, a team carrying some massive Super Bowl expectations. So this is it. This is where that massive universe of competition narrows all the way down to a single point. A high-stakes playoff game where every single play can be the difference between moving on and just going home for the year. And here's the matchup: the Buffalo Bills versus a tough playoff rival, the Denver Broncos. For the Bills, a team just burdened by those Super Bowl expectations, this is not just another game. This is the hurdle they have to clear. Everything is on the line. And the game itself was an absolute roller coaster. The Bills jump out to an early lead, they're looking confident, but then the Broncos just storm back before halftime. Then, in the fourth quarter, with their entire season on the line, the Bills show incredible heart, battling all the way back to force overtime. And then, in the most critical moment, a costly interception. It's the one mistake you just can't make. The Broncos kick a field goal, and just like that, an entire season of work, it all just vanishes in an instant. You know, the final score on the screen is just a number. The real story, the human story, well, that begins in the moments right after the game ends. It's about the burden of leadership and the crushing weight of accountability. Five turnovers. For the Bills quarterback Josh Allen, this was the only number that mattered after the game. It wasn't the yards, it wasn't the touchdowns, it was the 5 critical mistakes that handed the game away. In a playoff game, a number like that, it's an anchor that can sink your entire season. And what's so brutal is the contrast you see right here. I mean, look at the incredible plays: 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, plays that were absolutely vital to even get the game to overtime in the first place. But then you see the mistakes that undid it all: 2 interceptions and 2 lost fumbles. When the stakes are this high, those are the moments that can just erase all the good that came before. And here it is. This is the moment. With tears in his eyes at the post-game press conference, Josh Allen didn't make a single excuse. He didn't blame anyone else. He put the entire weight of that loss on his own shoulders. "I let my teammates down," he said. "This is going to stick with me for a long time." That, right there, is the human cost of a game. But that one moment of accountability, that's not the end of the story. Not even close. For the Bills, it's the beginning of a long, difficult offseason that's just filled with uncertainty. And this wasn't just some random loss, it's a painful pattern. For a team that's constantly in the Super Bowl conversation, falling short again, especially because of turnovers, is a really devastating blow. It forces the entire organization to take a hard look in the mirror. So, what's next? Well, the fallout from that one game creates a domino effect. Now the front office has to face some really tough questions. Who do we draft? Who do we sign in free agency? Do we need to make changes with our star players? Or maybe even the coaching staff? One loss can completely reshape the future of an entire franchise. And all of this leaves us with one final thought. Josh Allen made game-losing mistakes, there's no question about that. But in that moment of raw public accountability, he also showed a really powerful form of leadership. So the question becomes, what do we remember more? The failure that ended the dream, or the character that was revealed in its aftermath?